It is another edition, actually the Super Bowl edition of Take It to the House. I'm Drew Robison, and as per usual, my partner in crime when it comes to the NFL and some other things, but we're going to wrap up football today. Alex Deitz, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, Alex, this is kind of a sad day.
I know.
It's like when Christmas ends and, you got to go back to school and you didn't get any snow.
Right.
And so, you moved, those of you that don't know, Alex used to live in Wisconsin when he was little, and then he moved to Tennessee, and we occasionally get some funky snow here, but sometimes you don't. But anyway, it's kind of a sad day when football is over.
I know.
For a while, and unlike a lot of other sports, when football's over, football's really over.
Yeah. I mean, six months away, it feels like forever, and man, like, I was talking to my friends, like, I mean, I loved watching the Super Bowl. It was fun, good party, like, a lot of people, and we were engaged, but then it's like, it's just so bittersweet, because it's like, well, I mean, we're done for a long time, it's like.
Yeah, and I have tried the last couple of years to kind of get into the spring football stuff
Right.
with the XFL and so forth, and this year is going to be a little bit more interesting. I think the only real reason to watch that other football is if you're watching for prospects.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's all about the NFL.
Yeah.
College football is its own thing, and that's a little bit of a different subject, and we might touch on that when we finish up, just to kind of put the lid on football season. But let's talk about the Super Bowl. I was disappointed because I wanted the 49ers to win. I was tempted as a fan to slip into a little bit of bitterness in that, the Chiefs, got lucky or whatever.
Right.
And I heard a few people make comments to that effect, that the Chiefs were lucky, and they were lucky because McCaffrey fumbled, and McCaffrey never fumbles, and they were lucky because the punt hit the ankle of a 49ers player, and they got a blocked extra point, which made the difference in sending the game into overtime. But you know what? That's football.
Right, that is football.
That's football. And you could say the same thing in reverse. You could say Patrick Mahomes never throws picks.
Right, not in the playoffs.
And he threw one horrible pass. And he had not had any picks in the playoffs, I think, before that. And then he played really well after that interception. And, I get a little bit tired of the, nobody's better than Patrick Mahomes. You know what? He's good. He's really good. He deserves credit. But I just get a little bit leery of the over the top, he's now the greatest of all time. It's like we don't have to say things that make it bigger than it is. Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
He's been to 4. That puts him in an elite category. And yes, he is younger.
Right.
And yes, he could be the greatest of all time. There's no way I can say that now,
Right.
Early in his career. But he is great. He's doing great. And no Kermit the Frog voice in interviews is going to undo that. And even if he is, has some things about him that annoy me, I'm not going to take that away from him. And I feel like I learned my lesson with 20 plus years of Tom Brady, because, it's kind of, I think God may be teaching me some lessons about hatred. And even it was something as silly as sports and being a fan,
Right.
because I hated Tom Brady for so long. And what ends up happening is Tom Brady signs with the team that has been my team since I was 6.
Right.
And then I'm forced to choose.
Right.
And I will not abandon my Buccaneers.
The Bucks.
So I became a Tom Brady guy. It was really, really, really strange. It's kind of like Superman, teaming up with Lex Luthor. I don't know. It was a strange phenomenon. I will say this. Before Tom Brady left the Patriots, I was acknowledging some great things about him. But you can look over Tom Brady's career and you can always try to explain away the things that you don't like with luck.
Right.
I mean, the Tuck rule,
Right.
the Vinatieri, all the Super Bowls that Brady won, most of the the Marshawn Lynch, don't give him the ball at the goal line. The Atlanta Falcons, who refused to run the ball in the second half and let them come back. But they let him come back, but Brady came back.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, Brady's still great. Right. You have to acknowledge it. And, when you get into the greatest of all time, it's kind of weird. I'm getting a little distracted. We need to get back to Super Bowl. But one thing I've seen a lot lately, I don't know if you've seen this, but I feel like this whole weekend around the Super Bowl, there's been this emergence of Jordan LeBron discussions. Right. And I just find that to be very interesting as to, we feel this need to talk about the greatest of all time instead of just to say what Jordan used to say. When he was asked if he was the greatest of all time, he was never comfortable saying, I'm greater than Jabbar or Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell, right, or even the guys he played against who were older, Magic and Bird, when Jordan was younger, because Jordan never beat Magic or Bird in their prime, right, or even Magic with Jabbar. But anyway, back to the Super Bowl. Give me your general takeaway, Alex, and then I'll kind of jump in.
I thought just the first half, low-scoring game, 10-3 at the half. I don't think anyone predicted 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. 4 turnovers in the game. I don't want to say it was sloppy, but that's just, I felt like two teams that do a really good job of taking care of the ball both had 2 turnovers. Which, for the 49ers, I felt like it hurt them a little more maybe than the Chiefs. And so that was something I was not unexpected. I thought the Chiefs did a good job keeping the lid on McCaffrey in the run game, but he's still able to make some explosive plays. I thought Brock Purdy for his first Super Bowl played fine, aired it out. I think probably threw it 35-ish times, and
Brock Purdy was 23 of 38 for 255.
Right, wow.
1 touchdown, no picks, and his QBR was 89.
So a good, solid, clean game.
Yeah.
And it never looked like the moment was like too big for him. So I was impressed with him and his demeanor overall. I thought both teams. I thought the 49ers defense was elite in the first half. I think after getting their butts whooped by the Lions in the first half, they came out hot and ready to play. And I thought they had quite a few just coverage sacks. Like, Mahomes wasn't wanting to go down the field with the ball, and just nothing was there. I think a couple times they were able to bog down everyone, but the biggest thing for me, I think it was just like a really big team win for the Chiefs. I think a lot of players were involved in receptions in the passing game. Pacheco looked a little bit better in the second half. Mahomes was just dishing it to everyone. Travis Kelce, got a little hot. Rashee Rice made some big plays. Like, it was just a really big, good team win. And so, all season it's been like, who is Patrick Mahomes going to rely on in the pass game? And he relied on everyone, and so that was pretty impressive to me. And I think that's just my general thoughts: the turnovers, and then just the team aspect, the Chiefs trusting each other to make plays.
Well, 8 receivers caught passes for the Chiefs. 8 receivers also caught passes for the 49ers.
Right.
For the Chiefs, though, all 8 had 2 or more. McKinnon and Gray had 2 catches. Valdez-Scantling had 3. Justin Watson and Hardman had 3, and then Rice and Pacheco had 6, and Kelce had 9.
Yeah.
And then Kelce had 93, all the way down to 2 catches for 15, 2 catches for 22. So very evenly distributed, and kind of similar, with the 49ers. McCaffrey led with 8 for 80. This is receiving. Ayuk 3 for 49, Jennings 4 for 42. And of course, Jennings had the touchdown pass. Right. Debo had 3 for 33, and then Jusic and Kittle had 2 each. Kittle maybe not as involved
Right,
as
he's
they
a little
probably
quiet.
wished he had been.
Right.
Not that that's on him,
No.
but that's just kind of the way that worked out. So, yeah, good thoughts. Well, listen, let's pause real quick and come back, and we'll keep on going on the Super Bowl. This is Take It to the House. Okay, welcome back to Take It to the House. Again, Coach Drew Robison here. I am with Alex Deitz. We are talking about the Super Bowl, and just as we went to the break, Alex, you mentioned the team aspect of the win for the Chiefs. Agree with you in terms of a little bit surprising with the low scoring,
Right.
the turnovers. The Pacheco fumble was in the red zone,
Right.
which was big. And Pacheco maybe, I feel like he has fumbled a little bit, so not that he's in the habit of fumbling, but McCaffrey certainly
Right.
very unusual
Yeah.
for him to fumble. And then the other turnover for the 49ers was the special teams play.
Right.
And my only thought on that, obviously you watch it to begin with and you think, oh, he's an idiot, and then you realize he saw the ball hit his teammate's
Right.
ankle, and then my only thought was just fall on it. But sometimes when you're in that situation and you're already moving, you feel like it's cleaner just to scoop it and go because it had a little bounce to it.
Right.
But that was just the way the ball bounces,
Right.
and obviously that resulted in the next play being the Chiefs' first touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like that was just a really big turning point because I think overall both defenses, I think they did a good job of bending, but like you said, in the red zone, I thought both defenses were pretty solid. And just Patrick Mahomes threw for over 300 yards and Brock Purdy 250. Like when you see those numbers, you think, oh, like it's going to be a little bit more high scoring game. A couple more touchdowns to the air, and it really wasn't like that. But that I felt like that turnover was just a big turning point, kept the Chiefs in the game, and then a big momentum swing. But like you said, that's football. Like you got to be able to take some of those shots and keep rolling. I thought overall the 49ers did a good job. They just kept playing football. It didn't really rattle them, I think, and they kept it close. But then the special teams, the blocked extra point, you obviously saw how important that was.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. There's like, and I think this is a lesson in life. There is a margin that you always have to or should sort of plan on in terms of expecting the unexpected. The
Right.
bad bounce, the bad break, something that happens, and sometimes momentum can kind of keep that going. And I think it's probably more psychological than anything else. Things are going well, and then you kind of feel like, okay, we got lucky. So you just kind of feel like, okay, it's a snowball. And you just kind of use that as, hey, even things out of our control are working well. But, it's like the old saying goes, the luckiest ones are the ones that work the hardest.
Right.
So it's like when you're doing a lot that is in your control, and then sometimes things out of your control go your way.
Right.
Or in the other way, sometimes you're doing all you can, you're busting your tail to go, and then something out of your control doesn't go your way, and sometimes you can allow that to sort of interrupt your momentum. And the thing that I thought was interesting, and this is a great example of, when you've got field position and you get a big turnover,
Right.
go for the jugular, go to the end zone right away.
Right.
Because as you mentioned, in the first half, the 49ers were playing lights out defense.
Yeah.
And on that touchdown throw, it looked like busted coverage. It looked like a linebacker was supposed to go man to man up the seam, and they just missed it.
Right.
And it's a first down play. They'd been on the sidelines.
Right.
They had just come off the field because they had forced a punt, and then they get the bad break, and so you get that. I mean, you most of your time when I coached you in high school, you were playing both ways, so you probably didn't even care. You just stayed on the field. But when you've got offense and defense, and then you get off the field, you take your helmet off, you're getting a little bit of water, and then you see the jumbotron, you're like, oh my gosh, we got to go back out there
Right.
and face Mahomes, inside our own whatever
Yeah.
12-yard line or wherever it was. So
Tall task.
it's really tough. But obviously, the other bad break, probably the biggest bad break, was Dre Greenlaw
Right.
rupturing his Achilles.
He was just flying around early in the game.
Yes, a big loss for them. Um, you know, I'm looking at Super Bowl scores here for a second, and Kansas City won by 3. Kansas City beat the Eagles by 3 last year. The game was tied. They kicked the field goal at the end. Remember, they were able to run the clock out, not give Jalen Hurts the ball back. So Stafford beat Burrow by 3.
Wow.
The year before that, which interestingly, if you recall, the Rams beat the Bengals on their home field in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the year before that, Brady and the Bucks beat Mahomes on the Bucks home field.
Right.
And that was the last sort of blowout. It was 31-9. Mahomes was very rattled by Todd Bowles' defense.
They were amazing.
Bucks played great. Brady, and you know what was interesting? And I think there's probably something to that loss that Mahomes, and I'm speculating, but I think this is a real thing. I think Mahomes had won a Super Bowl the year before. That was his first Super Bowl.
Right.
Beat the 49ers, and it was 31-20. It wasn't that close. I guess it was Jimmy G, right?
Right.
And they won that game, had a great team, and then they get back to the Super Bowl, back-to-back Super Bowls for a young quarterback, and he is facing the greatest of all time.
Right.
And even though they're not on the field at the same time, you have a sense of you're competing because you're your team's leader.
Right.
He is their team's leader. And the thing about Brady that the whole Bucks team felt, and frankly every fan felt, I used to feel this way about Montana, is you get down to the wire in a Super Bowl or even just to the game.
Right.
And you think this is his comfort zone. Like he's so comfortable in this scenario. And I think Mahomes gives that impression now in Super Bowls that he feels very comfortable. He probably looked at the film of all the things that the Bucks did, and if he's a great NFL quarterback, which he is, he's going to look at that Bucks Super Bowl loss and he's going to say, what pass pros pre-snap did I miss?
Right.
How could I have gotten us out of that situation? How could I have read, done hot reads better? How did they disguise? Because he was running around, right? He was getting killed.
Yeah.
And so I don't think Patrick Mahomes looks back at that game and goes, well, I'll just chalk that up to my line sucked.
Right.
No. He's looking at how could I have prepared better?
Right.
What could I have done? And, because Todd Bowles Todd Bowles still does this, is he throws everything at quarterbacks. I mean, I remember hearing Peyton and Eli talk about Todd Bowles' defense and how difficult it is as a quarterback to figure out what he's doing.
Yeah.
But very aggressive. So anyway, Mahomes just feels comfortable, and it's going to continue. And now that the Chiefs have had a mediocre season
And still won.
and gotten hot and won a Super Bowl, and now they've won 3 and they've been to 4 in 5 years, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for a while.
I agree. Like, they're starting to get like you said, like the whole Patriot, Tom Brady, aura, even if you have a lead, even if you're up, a touchdown or 2, is the game really safe? Is it on ice? And then down the stretch late, at that point is like, the defense can play solid, but it's really up to Patrick Mahomes. Like, if the Chiefs don't win this game, is it because the opposing team was just, did they win it, or is it, Patrick Mahomes wasn't able to come through this time? Like,
Right.
it becomes more about, I think him and what is he gonna do? Just because like he is that guy now, and it's pretty incredible to watch. I mean, give him credit. And he just makes the throws when he needs to. I think there was one throw that I can really think about, like Brock Purdy missed, that I think would have been a touchdown. It was Debo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk, I can't remember, and it was just on the Chiefs. Probably make a 35-yard pass, and it's just airmailed it out of bounds, probably 3 yards. And I was like, oh man, like that was really the one big throw. I was like, oof, like I bet he wish he had that back because
Yeah.
it's a touchdown throw.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh man, like rookie quarterback, like. But yeah, I think the Chiefs, like, it's gonna be like playing like, oh my gosh, how do we beat Mahomes? Like, is it even possible?
Right.
In the postseason.
Well, yeah, and you know what, Purdy. Just a couple more thoughts on Purdy. I thought he played really well.
Yeah.
And, you could say the same thing about Jalen Hurts last year, I think. I don't remember all the details, but I didn't come away last year thinking, oh, Mahomes was just better than Jalen Hurts. I felt like
Right.
both quarterbacks played well. I thought the Chiefs, managed the game. It came down to the wire. Obviously, in an overtime game, same thing. Now, I will say this. In a game like this,
Right.
in the Super Bowl, I like the rule change. I think it's a good rule
Right.
with the overtime. But I don't know if you felt this way, but on that third down, when it was in overtime
Right.
and they were in field goal range, there's something sort of instinctive about you're in overtime or you've got the ball first, even in college, when you've got the alternate possession situation in
Right.
college. You feel like when you got the ball first, you go ahead and take the three,
Right.
get the lead, and then rely on your defense.
Right.
But man, I'm telling you, as soon as they did not convert on that third down, and I said they're going to kick a field goal, I felt like it was over.
Yeah.
And here's why. Because when you score a touchdown, what you then do to the Chiefs is you put that pressure on them of, now we've got to score a touchdown. Every fourth down, we've got to go for it.
Right.
We have no room for error in this drive.
Right.
So one dropped pass, one sack, one pitch that Pacheco drops, or just little
Right.
things like that happen, that could, or a holding penalty for that. I mean,
Right.
something can throw a wrench in it, and that touchdown puts that pressure. When you're only down 3
Right.
and you're the Chiefs, it's kind of like, we go down and kick a field goal, and
Right.
we'll still now then it's sudden death.
Right.
But I feel like if the 49ers score a touchdown and the Chiefs get the ball, maybe the Chiefs go down and score a touchdown.
Right.
But then it's sudden death.
Right.
Then the 49ers can go down and kick a field goal and win.
Right.
And it's over. And Mahomes doesn't get the ball back.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing, that it comes down to just a few plays. And even, you mentioned the almost, touchdown, the miss for Brock Purdy. There was a throw he made that was an unbelievable throw, and it was just a little option right over the middle to Debo.
Right. Yeah.
But he threw it kind of low, but he put it right out of the reach of the defender.
Yeah.
And Debo couldn't hang on, but it hit him in the hands.
Yeah.
He laid out for it, hit him in the hands. And you just think about big games. You think about Tyree and the stick 'em on the helmet.
Yeah.
You think about Eli, or even the Plaxico Burress touchdown. You just think of, there are big plays in games that sometimes mark the game. I thought the time that Nick Foles beat Brady,
Yeah.
and there was the throwback.
Right.
That was just a big play.
Yeah.
That was just memorable. And the 49ers just didn't have that big memorable play. And part of that's because the defenses on both teams were really good.
Yeah.
But you know what? We've had 3 Super Bowls in a row that have come down to a field goal. And it's interesting because before that we had the Bucks beat the Chiefs 31-9. The Chiefs won over the Niners 31-20. Brady's last New England Super Bowl was that kind of disappointing Rams Super Bowl with Goff. It was
Yeah.
13-3, low scoring, just kind of a
Yeah,
bummer Super Bowl.
that was
And
bad.
then before that was Foles. That was the one we just talked about, where the Eagles beat, and that was 41-33.
Yeah, that
I
was
feel like Brady had like 500 yards passing that
yeah,
game.
that was a really good game. Just
And then the
high
year before
octane.
that, was the comeback on the Falcons.
Mm,
Year before that was Peyton Manning beating Cam Newton,
right.
who cried like a baby after the game. And I don't mean like emotionally. I mean
Right.
just pathetically. And then the year before that was New England beat. That was the Marshawn Lynch game.
Golly.
So that's been like the last 10 Super Bowls, and it's kind of interesting. We're at Super Bowl 58. Alex, the first Super Bowl that I ever remember watching. Well, I'm gonna pause it there. We're gonna come back and talk a little bit more about the history of the Super Bowl, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about the league going in the off season and a few more things. But I want to go ahead and take another break. So thanks for listening. This is Take It to the House.